This is WeatherBrains episode number 646. This is the pre-show for June 4th, 2018, which, you know what this is. I mean, you know what this is. This is that magical time of the program where we share boring personal stories, humorous anecdotes, and we say very outrageous things. Many say this is the best part of this program, and it's not even on the produced audio version. So welcome, 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 and welcome. Kim, welcome. Bill, welcome.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, gentlemen?
Like you're ready for a party there, Kim.
Yeah. Well, it's always a party here anymore. Living 4.5.
Always a party.
Always a party. How about you guys? How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Good.
All right, come with lots of questions tonight because I'm tired and old and
cranky.
Y'all gonna have to carry the show tonight. I'll fill out the show notes, James. How about that?
Okay. Is Rich Thompson on with us tonight?
I wrote him about 5 till 8 and said, make sure you close out the other hangout from this afternoon from the test. And here's the show hangout for tonight. And blah, blah, blah. Call me if you have any trouble. And I didn't put the link in. I didn't mean to hit send. So he just wrote me and said, hey, I don't see the link. But yeah, I know. No, I'm like you, this 4 hours of sleep stuff, James. This just doesn't work.
You know, it's toward the end of the week, it drags. Fridays are my bad day. After sleeping 3-4 hours a night, there's just not much left.
Yeah, I can understand.
Gosh, yeah, no kidding. Is that all the more that you sleep per night? Really?
Yeah, I have to get up every morning at 4:52 to do the production in the morning, which is the blog posts, the weather extreme videos, radio weather, all that stuff. And I'm on television. I do a television hit on our local TV station here from my house. I got a green wall at the house, so I'm on TV at 6:15 on top of all that. So I do a morning shift at the house between 5 and 8, and then I leave and go speak somewhere, every day. And then I get up here and work 2 to 11. And when I get home, I just can't go to sleep. And most nights I'll go to bed about 1 o'clock and I'll get up at 4:52. So,
oh my gosh,
it's brutal.
Yeah.
James is actually 27.
Right?
Yeah. This is what you look like when you never sleep. So my advice to you is to get your sleep. But I kept thinking as a younger guy, surely this is going to go away one day. Surely at some point I'll be able to, get 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep a night. It's never happened. And it probably never will happen. And now with, social media that never turns off.
Yeah.
But you always know the best stuff first, James. You always are at the cutting edge. You always know everything before anybody else does.
Well, no, you just try everything, and some of it sticks, and most of it doesn't. I mean, that's half the battle.
You get the news. You get you know what's happening. If there's a pall of smoke somewhere over Birmingham, every single person in Birmingham goes to @span, and there's always an answer. It's junkyard fire in North Birmingham, or whatever. It's like crazy.
I have become some bizarre town crier. Hear ye!
Like 6 cars stopped on the interstate. It's immediate. What's going on 459 @span? And there's always an answer.
And it's not just here. It's all over. It's all over.
And
a lot of
there's a wreck on I-70 in eastern Pennsylvania.
It's our WeatherBrains family, and I'm very thankful. I mean, I get some really good stuff from all over the globe.
What? Globe?
Who's buzzing?
Is that me?
Not me. I don't hear it, so it must be me.
Yeah. It was a
the scalloped potatoes I had for dinner. They were really good too.
They sounded like they were good.
Where's Rich? Come on, Rich. You got to show up, man.
So I just had a turkey burger. Oh, boy, that is weird. I have never heard that noise before.
Yeah, no. And it was when you said turkey burger too, which made it all the more funny.
Yeah, right. Wow. That
is it still happening?
Yeah.
It's happening.
All right, I better hang up.
Bill, I got to say this might be it sounds just like you have gas. I mean, it sounds.
You said this was the humorous anecdote part, so here you go.
All right, well,
I'll go take a gas X. I'll be right back.
Yeah, Beano or something. No, that was so strange. I mean, it went one. He'd say a word and then one.
Yeah, I do. I think that you're right. Since he was the only one who didn't hear it. We'll see if this.
It had to have been. So, Bill, talk to us.
All right, testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
Loud and clear, clean as a whistle.
Got rid of the gas.
Yeah.
Good.
Gas X.
All right, we need Rich. Come on, Rich.
So,
it was funny. How today, about I sent Rich a text and said, "Hey, I got the Hangout open. Here's the link. Just call me on my cell phone when you join in." Well, about 15 minutes, I forgot it was running, and all of a sudden, you start. It feels like somebody's looking at me. I'm sitting here like chowing down on some Chex Mix and yelling about the people in accounting. And I'm pitching a fit over here, and I get this email says, "Bill, I'm watching you snack." Rich.
Whoops.
At least he told you instead of just waiting there to see what else you did.
Recorded it and put it on YouTube. It would have been fun. And let me tell you another thing.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Is it the gas again?
Oh.
It was a little more crackly this time.
All right, y'all might just have to be Kim and James tonight. Just
you might. Can you unplug your audio interface and plug it back in? Is that an easy thing to do, or is that a challenge? Often that tends to fix it, and you'll have to choose it again back in the Hangout.
No, it won't let me choose it back.
What kind of audio interface is that, Bill? Hello. Hello.
How about now?
Tap on that mic. No, well, yeah. Wait, do that again.
Got a very heavy.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. A lot of times when you just unplug the what kind of interface is that?
It's an M Audio Fast Track.
Okay, yeah, I got one of those in my bag here. They tend to. Sometimes if it's a USB, it'll do that for some reason. I don't know why, but when it's done it to me, I just unplug it and plug it back in, and it tends to be fine for a long time.
There you go. That's the universal rule of fixing electronics.
As a matter of fact,
have you tried turning it off and on again? Off and on again, off and on again. Have you tried turning it off and on again? That normally does the trick.
We got some good sound. Our producers are the greatest.
Really are. I was actually looking the other day for the chemtrails sound. Where did you get that from?
Chemtrails.
Where was that from?
So I can't tell a lie. I listened to a podcast called No Agenda, which is a podcast where they have no political agenda, and it's, to me, it's funny. It's funny, and it's Adam Curry. Adam used to be a VJ on MTV back in the 80s, and a guy named John C. Dvorak, who's a technology writer. And they have some of the most amazing sounds on that show. And the way they do their podcast, it is called the value for value model. If you believe that you're getting value from them, you donate to the show. They don't do advertising, and this is their main way of making a living. And so I've sent some donations, and I said, well, since I'm a donor, can I use the chemtrail jingle? And they said, sure.
Chemtrails.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's actually from the No Agenda show. And if you want to hear a funny, it's just funny. And that when you have no agenda, even that makes people mad when you're talking about politics. But it's just, to me, I need some comic relief. Sometimes driving down the road, and I drive down the road a lot. And their show, they do it twice a week, and it's literally almost 3 hours. 3 hours. Ours is sometimes 2. They go 3. And so it takes a while to listen to the whole thing. But they call their audience members producers, people that listen. Everybody that listens, you're a producer. And they send in the most amazing jingles and artwork for the show. And oh, man. So
we tried that value for value model, but we had to pay the
yeah, we had to pay our listeners to listen to this show, so that didn't work.
Well, that sounds like a really refreshing show, actually. The No Agenda show.
No Agenda. So I have iOS 12 installed on this old iPad. They had the Worldwide Developers Conference today in San Jose. And every year, I always stick the new operating system on something that I don't use that much. And so I think this year that they've actually not focused on new features, but they have focused on performance. And they say for an older device like this, it will be more responsive. And I think it actually is. So look, I don't need any new features. The fact that it's more stable and more responsive, and I'm all in. So that completes this week's.
After slowing it down before previously.
Yeah. and to me, the most interesting thing, it's that they now have something called Screen Time, where it monitors what apps you use and how you use your device, and you can put limits to prevent phone addiction. And you can also, if you have kids, you can limit their activity and actually have it shut down. And it's very interesting. I've not had a chance to look at it, but this seems to be the one that's getting the most buzz. It's called Screen Time. And so anyway, but we'll see. That completes this week's iOS Brains.
Well, that sounds very smart. Thank you, app developers, for that bit of good sense. All sounds like it. I was going to ask, did I see a bit of news today that there's also, maybe it's part of the same package of things, there's something on the new iOS, or is it a new, gosh, I can't even remember if it was a new technology item that shamed you if you were on your iPhone for too long? Did you see this?
Yeah, that's basically what that is. It's that's what you're talking about. It
just warns you.
Set it up to warn you that you've got 5 minutes left to use Instagram today. You've got 1 minute left to use Instagram today, and you're done. Now if you're, you can override it, of course, but they're trying to help people overcome the addiction of walking around all day with a phone in their face. And but the interesting thing is how you can control your kids' phone and what they use and put limits. And you can allow them to use the phone if you just want to use the phone only. But anyway, well, it's all a social science thing, Kim. This is your ball of wax here.
Yeah. I wouldn't have gotten a smartphone if I hadn't made the move to DC. I was so convinced already with the research that existed back in 2013 that these things are terrible for us. So yeah, I try to fight it, but the addictive forces are just hard, man. You find an idle moment and you're just on it,
It's a dopamine. You get a dopamine hit when that little ding goes off, and you got to say, "Oh, it's a notification. I've got to see what that is." It might be somebody liked my post or shared my post. And
I can't imagine having so many notifications on all the time. My husband does, and I would never be able to get anything done. It's just got to be so difficult and distracting.
Yeah, I've said this before. Time management is my biggest struggle in life, and I don't want some magic moments to pass me by when I'm staring at a piece of glass where I've missed something important. I was in South Carolina a couple of weekends ago, and I don't get to see a sunset that often because I work nights, and it was a stunning sunset. And of course, there I was taking pictures and getting on the Snapchat and the Tweeter and all that. I finally said, all right, enough of this. I'm putting the phone down. I sat down and I just enjoyed it. It was so refreshing. I didn't worry about taking pictures or which platform you're going to get it on. I just sat there and watched it like a happy idiot, and it was awesome. And I'm afraid we're just going to miss a lot of these moments. And again, what's hard for us in my world, we are rated constantly. If you walk in our newsroom, there, of course, there's all these monitors in here, but the first monitor you encounter in that newsroom, it's social media stats. And this is constantly updated live in real time. And it is ranking you in terms of your engagement across social media platforms in the market. And so that has become basically one of the metrics of how we keep our job, how we get a job, how we, get a raise. It's how you're performing on the social side. And so, in order to, keep your job, you're having to sit at this thing all day. And it's a challenge. I mean, because I know if I put it down for a while, then I might slip and somebody else is going to pass me. And I think in the industry, we need to talk about this for people that are in my position, this on-air talent, which is what we used to, I guess we're still, I don't even know what we're called anymore. But now we're juggling, the old school television, which we've always done, and social and television ratings are daily. We get the overnights the next morning. I'll know at 8:00 tomorrow morning how the ratings were tonight. But with this social media stuff, it is real time. Ooh, I got to invite Rich. Okay. This is cool. We've had John Hart and Rich Thompson on this show within almost a month. This is like really cool.
I don't know what trouble he's having. It bounces him out every time to a support page for Hangouts. I think it's a support page for former WeatherBrains guests, probably.
Does he use his NOAA or his private email?
Well, I asked him, but he didn't answer me, and so I thought we'd try the NOAA just in case.
Let me get his other one, which I happen to have.
You have it. You may have it already.
Never send me an email because I keep everything. I'm a digital pack rat.
He said he's sitting on his Google account, so that might hit him. I told him you could invite him.
Yeah, let me pull that up here. All right, here we go. I almost panicked. I got a notification that I was like 11 o'clock this morning that the show was starting. Thinking, what? And I looked, and sure enough, that's what it says in the calendar.
Did it really?
Like 11 o'clock? Yeah, 11 a.m. So I'm thinking, what?
I don't know who's in charge of that calendar. Somebody needs to talk to him.
Yeah, whoever that is really, really needs to get on the ball with this
Big
program.
Time. Hey, Rick. I did say Rick, right? Hey, Rick.
He's taking a picture.
No, just kidding. I'm kidding. How's it going?
You're in charge of the show tonight, right?
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Shortest show on record.
Well, it's off to a rip-roaring start so far. Actually,
we should.
I hope we can get
our guest.
We should welcome our television viewers. Hello, good evening. It's Monday. It's 8:30. No weather happening. You're not missing one echo on radar.
No, it hasn't been this clear in June in a long time.
It is remarkable. No convection at all.
55-degree dew points. Look like a
dadgummit
September day today. Nothing.
I think, let me go to the Hangouts section here because he might be over here. I know I've got his Gmail address.
He keeps insisting that it's coming back in a Hangout support window. It worked. The test today was flawless.
Well, that's the way it goes here. We all know that.
Is he on a home computer, whereas earlier he was on a work computer?
No, he was at home because he had I think he's getting married July 14th or something.
Wow.
He was apparently selling his house and having someone look at it tonight, and so he was at home. So I don't know.
Did you tell him that we're wedding singers, Bill? We do sing at weddings.
Man, why didn't you tell me that?
Yeah.
We've only just begun to live.
I was singing from Diana Ross' song today. I don't know where that came from.
I'm off my meds.
I love that show. Casey Kasem, American Top 40. They replay it on XM, on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
And we were driving around Saturday, and it was like some show from 1976, and he always would have these really cool trivia things, because somebody wrote in and said, "Hey, who's the woman who won the most, Grammys or whatever the award was?" And he was about to, but Diana Ross came from back in the pack. She was like 3 or 4, and she went from, but by the time he got the letter to the time he read it on the air, she had jumped from there to 6th and was in first place. And I thought I should know that from my 70s era music interest, but I didn't. So, and there's your boring personal story right there, James. You
so we
had it fulfilled.
We just need some. Now we just need some kind of. I hope this is him. I just invited a Rich Thompson. If it's the wrong one, we'll just.
How many could there be?
Well, there's one that's an outfielder in the major leagues. I don't think it's him, so that's probably.
Well, his icon is like a Gumby thing here.
That rings a bell.
And
I should have gotten that from him today. I usually do, but the Hangout test went so well in between mouthfuls of Chex Mix that I thought it was
he's got it's a Gumby.
There's your show title. It's a Gumby.
I would share this, but I'm trying to protect his privacy here.
He's like a professor. He's probably already spent 15 minutes trying to get on. He's given up. Yeah, that's him right there.
What now?
He just responded to the show and said, "No idea why it's not letting me join." Or at least somebody with a Gumby avatar did.
Yeah, no, if it's the Gumby avatar, that's him.
Probably some guy in Buffalo, New York. What? Who are you people?
Yeah, unknown. No idea why it's not letting me join. Yeah, I see that now. So that is like so he's lurking around here.
Maybe we can just ask him questions in chat and Rick can read them.
Hey, I can do that.
There must be an election tomorrow if Brian's not around, huh?
Now, what's the deal with Brian? So it's like, he works the polls. Well, what time is he going to get up to go to the polls? Like 7 a.m. or something, 6 a.m.?
Well, I have a bone to pick with Brian, too. I was hoping he was going to be on here. We decided to go down to his fair city on Saturday and walk around. They have some nice park down there. And they have like 2,000 geese that live there on this lake. And there's a huge sign when you walk into the park that says no dogs allowed. But there are these giant pieces of duck poop all over the walking trail. And I thought they were dog poop. I thought maybe somebody had it out. But then I thought there's no way there could be 2 million pieces of dog poop on this trail. But I wanted to give Brian some grief about his park because it was literally like an obstacle course walking around it for all the duck poop. So they need to do something about their duck problem.
That's another show title. We have covered the bases in the pre-show. We have said we've shared boring personal stories, we have shared humorous anecdotes, and we have now said outrageous things. So we've accomplished our goal here.
There we go. It's a hat trick. If
All
anybody
the
still
boxes
knows
are
what that
ticked.
means.
Let's see here. I'm hearing my Gmail avatar comes up, sits there a moment, and bounces me to a help screen. Did Aubrey just join us here?
Yeah, Aubrey's chiming in now.
Yeah, they're over here in the chat room.
Yeah,
they're in a chat room, not on the video conference with us here.
Have you tried turning it off and on again? Probably.
Right.
Yeah, we could play this one.
Have you tried turning it off and on again? Off and on again, off and on again.
Aubrey says she's out the last day of vacation at her parents, so she is out. Goodness, so Rich and I, we've had a number of chats through Hangouts, and I can't find a way of lifting his Gmail address out of this Hangout.
Can we just ask him?
Yeah, there you go. Just send him a text and just ask him in that private chat over there, and that way you can invite that, because I have a funny feeling that we're inviting him with that NOAA address, and we need to do it in the Gmail address. In theory, that link we sent
him the link to the show, though. He should be able to just jump right in on that.
But if just get his Gmail address and drop it in the chat room over here, and I'll invite him that way. And if not, we'll just start the show and we'll figure something out here. We always do. The show must go on.
But by the way, I got in trouble with the PAO at the Hurricane Center. That's why.
Why?
What did you do?
Well, all the media interviews or whatever are supposed to go through the public affairs officer, and I knew that. But I mean, good Lord, how long do we go back with Ken Graham?
So when is Ken coming on the show?
Well, he was supposed to be tonight, and so. I get this email last Tuesday from the PAO and says, he put me in timeout. Basically, he said, nope, there will be no appearance on your show until July 15th at the earliest. So I'm like in the penalty box till the middle of July.
Wow.
That's going to be one of those shows that probably will be at 11 o'clock.
Wow.
They can't do the shows at night.
So Ken's always comes in on his show. Now that he's directed a Hurricane Center, you have to go through the spokes hole then, huh? Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And this guy hates me anyway, so it's not the first time. I've been put in timeout.
Getting a reputation, huh?
Oh boy. I knew when I saw that email pop up, most of my emails are like fear and dread, y'all are talking about distractions, but I'm just waiting for, every time I read one of those notifications come up, it's just, if the world didn't end, then I'm good.
It gives me a show topic idea. We could have Kelly Purtle on to talk about all the other public affairs officers in NOAA and the Weather Service. No, I'm just.
That
would be interesting maybe not Dennis, but someone to talk about that side of things. It's kind of a different world.
Yeah, it is a different world. It would be I think that's a really interesting idea, actually. The side nobody sees, the people who actually bring, out the voices of NOAA to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Decide who talks to the media and who's the best person. And
you don't have her cell phone number. We could get her on tonight, right?
Right? I can just text her.
She's probably traveling the world somewhere. She's
all right. Dead air for 15 seconds, a record on WeatherBrains.
Well, I can tell you, I worked with Rich Thompson last Monday night. He's a great guy.
And when you say you worked with him, do y'all like work? Do y'all share people in the office or anything, Rick? Or just working the same event or whatever?
He was next door. He was the evening shift lead forecaster. We had severe weather last week, and I was there helping out a little bit, and so just coordinated with him a little bit. We share a refrigerator and a microwave, so we can just kind of go back and forth and chat. But so he does still work there. I did see him, and
he's alive.
He's alive.
Well, I'm excited about our Weather Fest in St. Louis. I know you're not going to get to come, Kim. Rick, I don't know if you're going to get to come up on Friday night or Saturday.
I don't think so.
We have excellent people this year that are programming. Gary Chrisman and Jim Seviking in St. Louis are, doing a lot of the programming. And, you love it when you're the chair of something like this, when you get an email, from one of the teams that says, We're worried that we'll run out of space for exhibitors. Could you send me a map of how many, exhibit areas we can use? And I was like, bravo.
It's a nice problem to have.
And Vivian Silva, who many of y'all know, is in charge of the volunteers. And she decided she was going to just stop at 48. And there's probably 60 or 70 volunteers now. And, and we've raised $25,000 for the foundation. And it's going to be a huge event in St. Louis. I'm really, really excited about it on Saturday, August 25th.
That's awesome. I'm going to hate, how long does it take to drive to St. Louis from here?
No more than 3 hours, I'm sure. Right?
From Norman?
Yeah. 3 hours to Joplin, maybe.
It's a solid 8.5.
There you go. That's just
or 3, whatever.
We'll see what's going on in August. Last year was my first festival to attend at NWA, and it was awesome. I mean, it was much bigger than I was expecting it to be, and it was really cool. So I hate to miss it this year, but have to economize on these conferences and can't go to them all. Well, some people can. I can't, but
the rumor has it that
maybe.
James is going to be the MC of the Allie Skywarn Young Meteorologist Program rally. So that's going to be fun.
Wait, who's going to do that?
James Spann.
Oh.
I just had a kernel panic. I've not had one of these in a long time. This is like
a Kentucky Fried Chicken kernel, or
yeah. I mean, I have not had a kernel panic on this computer in probably 2 years. That was like really weird. And now it's not seeing this Logitech. and Rich
title Kernel Panic.
Yeah.
Rich says I called James and could see video and hear audio, just can't get it to work through the links.
Well, we'll just have to try, Rich, because this is 8:47. We got to go. It'll be us. It'll be fun. We'll make this happen. Let me get my video. Boom. There we go. That was just too strange. Let's get this thing going here before something else blows up. We're going to record this, and we're going to record this, and just thank Rich. I mean, I hate that we can't get him on the show. He is one of my heroes. All right, here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is WeatherBrains, episode number 646. This is the weekly show that's all about weather. This is for June 4th, 2018. Thanks a lot for taking the time to join us. We are glad you are here in summertime. In the summertime, it's meteorological summer. Kim, are you happy that it's summer? Kim, what's your favorite season of the 4? Pick one.
Man, my favorite season, it's a toss-up between spring and fall. I love fall so much. It's hard to beat out severe weather season though. So, but just love when the season changes to fall and all of the leaves change, and it's that crisp, cool feeling. You can put a sweater on again, and after the long haul of summer, it's just such a nice reprieve, especially in Oklahoma. It's just such a nice season. So how about you guys? What do you guys all feel about the seasons?
I'm a fall guy. I just think it's marvelous, especially that first good cold front of the season. And for us down here, we typically get it in the first part of October. But the leaves are changing, and you can breathe, and the humidity is gone, and it's just a marvelous time of the year. And understand, for us, we get severe weather in fall. We have the late fall season here. So typically for us, October is the driest month of the year. And then comes November, which is the beginning of the fall tornado season, November, December. So it's, I love fall, but look, when you're old as I am, you're just glad to be in any season. So Rick, what's your favorite?
I love the 2 weeks of fall. I agree with Kim. I love spring. I love fall. I don't like some of the weather in the spring as much as I used to, but the fall is just, it's like you said, James, just that first blast of cooler, drier air, and you can go outside in the evening and not suffocate. And of course it means winter's coming, but fall is my favorite for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Bill, what are you? Are you a fall fan?
When I was a kid, it was summer. There was no question. And fall was nice because of football, but now I'm and I've always loved spring, but I have to say fall now is, oh yeah, he told me that. Rich thinks I am out to lunch because I've asked him twice what his Gmail address is, and he's told me twice. And you sent an invite to that, right, James?
Yeah, and for those that are listening on the show here, we our guest is having an issue in getting on the platform we use, which is Google Hangouts, to interview him. And it's Rich Thompson of the Storm Prediction Center. And if he can't make it, we will get him on another Monday night, because we've had John Hart. And between John and Rich Thompson, their work in severe local convective storms, it's just remarkable. And they're two of my heroes. And again, we're having a hard time getting Rich on. And we've learned this over the years: the higher the IQ of our guest, the lower the odds of getting them on the show. I don't know why that is, but
well, it was, he was having trouble with his webcam microphone. And so he went and got his son's big gamer headset with the microphone to make it work. And I was like, like Delta 172, clear for ILS approach, runway 23,
yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to do one of these impromptu homegrown shows if we can't get Rich, which I love these. We often don't have time to talk among us. And the truth is, just between, Kim and Bill and Rick, I mean, goodness, I could ask you guys questions all night. So, but again, we are here in the beginning of meteorological summer. It's the 4th of June. And first question for Kim and Rick, tell me about the severe weather season. How it's been a little slow in Oklahoma this year, huh?
Just a little bit. The big excitement this year was seeing how long into the year we would go before we saw the first tornado in the state. Looks like we made it to about May 2nd, which set a new record. We ended up May with about 20 tornadoes, which is a little bit below average. We're not the slowest year on record as far as tornadoes go, but we're in the top 5 or 6. So very, very slow. Of course, depends on where you are. There's some communities that had multiple episodes of severe weather. A little town of Purcell, not too far south of Kim and me here, had 2 big storms, and they will never tell you the severe weather season was slow, but it was quiet. It was my roof appreciates it and all of that, but yeah, it was quiet.
Now you're saying is the death ridge set in, or are we done with it, or is there more to come?
It feels like we're done. It's felt like we're done for a week and a half, or at least. I don't know. We're in a marginal risk tonight. We're supposed to have storms overnight and early in the morning. So, we're not completely done, but it does look and feel like summer around here.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. I'm kind of hoping that we at least can have one of those summers where we do get the nocturnal convection, the brief reprieves, and sometimes we can get those summers. So even if we're death ridged and it's pretty warm, would welcome convection of any kind.
Well, like today, it was cloudy in the morning, and you could actually go out, and it was pleasant. The 78 dew points were gone for a little while, and it was nice. And this evening even was nice. When we have dew points down in the 50s or even in the lower 60s, when the sun goes down, it's not bad outside. Last week it was like, it never got nice outside. It was just disgusting. Yeah. But and June's supposed to be our wettest month of the year around here. So, and we, May was, depends on where you were again, but I don't think we got as much rain as we would have liked to have seen in some places in May. So we'll take all we can get in June.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me talk with you too about for some of the events. Rick, I was reading your Twitter feed. It seems as though some in the weather community took a lot of criticism over what they did or what they didn't do or what they said. And you kind of stated that, enough's enough. And I think we're all guilty. Let me just rephrase that. I'm guilty sometimes of being critical of others in the weather enterprise. And I don't think that's a good place to go. Do you think this is an increasing problem, Rick, where we're just starting to just hate on each other and poke at each other and not lift each other up?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what social media is in some ways, unfortunately. And I just don't think it's productive. It's not productive in any field, on a personal level, on a professional level. but we just have so many people that like to beat up on others in the business, other TV meteorologists or others at other offices or whatever the case may be. And that's not going to fix anything. I mean, it just gets old after a while. You know, we try to have good relationships with all of our partners and all the people we work with, and talking bad about them and dragging things out that happened 5 years ago that people are never going to let go. You know, it just gets old, and it's just, you know, we just have to move on. We have to, can't we all just, I mean, we all have to get along, and being negative and being so, in some cases, just outright mean and nasty to people. Just, to me, I don't want any part of that.
Kim, this is what you do. You know, you're a social science person, and it just seems to me, and I guess maybe it's society, I don't know what it is, but it seems to be an increasing problem. And I've noticed it. We had a little tropical system, you know, Alberto, that came up from the south, and I posted an animated GIF of the 3-kilometer NAM of the path coming up through central Alabama to show the projected path. And I didn't even really pay attention to the intensity it had at the landfall, which was overdone. That was not the point of the tweet. The tweet was to show the path through Alabama. But I was just brutally attacked by some people in the weather community. And I just finally, if they have a name, I'll typically not block. People say, what's your policy on blocking people when you start getting this stuff? And it is very busy. All of the traffic coming in. The last thing I need is a bunch of haters. But if there's a name attached to it, I don't block them. But if it's, you know, if there's no human name, I'm sorry, you got to go. But Kim, do you think that this is an increasing problem where we just attack each other? And I don't even know who these people are. It seemed as though they had some knowledge of weather, like they're a professional that work within NOAA or the private sector, or maybe just an enthusiast. I don't know. But to me, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I mean, you guys all have experienced this just as much as I have, and I think that there are a lot of really interesting areas of research emerging in the social sciences about what social media is doing to us individually and collectively. But I think for the weather community, just on that topic alone, I know I've found myself reminiscing over the last year or two, especially. I've just really missed the early days when everyone was first able to get on Facebook and Twitter. And, you know, our field sort of experienced this brief, awesome renaissance where all of these scientists across the country, across the world converged. And I remember everybody brought to the table their observations, and they shared, oh, you know, this is a neat weather phenomenon going on here. Let's talk about it. And I learned so much about meteorology in those early years. And I feel like the sharing has really decreased in frequency. And so what you do get is then the people who are starting to share pieces, they really do it mostly when, like you were doing, when there's a big event coming. And so everybody else just sits there, and instead of learning about the phenomenon or whatever it is, I think that the energy is directed more toward the negative ends, more toward nitpicking, and everyone is sold onto this mission, which I think is a good mission, to try to communicate well. But there are honest disagreements about what that means, and sometimes social media, our thoughts don't fully translate. What you were meaning did not come across completely. And you did not mean to draw attention to the intensity, like you said. We can't be our complete embodied selves in this virtual space. We're only these very simple, hollow projections of ourselves. And it's going to be, even as hard as it is to understand each other when you speak person to person, it's all the harder when you put all that into this projected space where all of our projections are living together. And I think it's very natural if we're you know, sort of evaluating each other the same way there that we would in the real world, and requiring people to bring that much presence, then it's going to be really tough. I think we all have to learn to be a little bit more forgiving and empathetic, and not assume the worst outright from each other. There's so few of us, and we're all trying to execute this mission together, you know?
Right. And again, I am just as guilty as anybody else. I mean, I'll raise my hand, but I see us working more on tearing each other down instead of building each other up. And I think I need to kind of come in and recommit myself to rethinking everything. And I guess it's the state of the country we live in now, where it's so polarized. It's everybody wants to fight. Everybody wants to fight. And if we fight among ourselves, and again, look, there's going to be external people that just hate on us, and that's fine. That's just life. Yeah, that's the way it is. But I'm talking within the professional weather enterprise, people in the private sector, public sector. And goodness, I feel so sorry for these guys at the Hurricane Center. They, whatever they do, and really, it's probably the same way for the Storm Prediction Center, I guess. They're just going to be brutally attacked. That they're idiots. They don't know what they're doing. They don't get it right anymore. And I would just like to encourage all of us to stop and at least count to 10. And if you need to send some kind of constructive criticism, maybe do it privately, or better yet, do it in person. I think that's the best way to approach it. Is if you go to a weather conference and there's somebody's there and you had a problem with what they're doing, just in a very civil way, look them in the eyes and say, "This is nothing personal, but I just wanted to hear your side of the story." But we've got to do something, because if we got a civil war in the weather enterprise, that's bad. Nothing good's going to come out of that mess.
Like Kim said, I mean, this is the team. Our team is not that big, and if we're sniping at each other members of the team, that's not going to do any of us any good. Now, not everything's going to be rosy, and I'll admit, just like you, I see stuff that I want to tweet about or write back to them and say that's wrong or that's incorrect or whatever. And I've been counting to 10. 50, 100. I can't tell you how many backspaces I hit and erase a tweet and say, what is that really going to do if I send that? That's just the potential for that to cause confusion or problem, or somebody to get their feelings hurt or get mad. So I just don't do it. I mean, I'm tweeting less than I used to probably, but part of it's because of that, because, I'm just trying to avoid trouble. And I mean, if I have something to say, I'll say it, but I'm thinking about it a lot more. And you mentioned, constructive criticism, dealing with someone directly. What I've been doing a lot more of lately is, if I see someone with a wrong stat, or we've had this number of tornadoes when I know it's another number, I'll just private message them or something and tell them and let them correct it. I'm not going to call them out. No matter how nice I am calling them out on Twitter, it still looks like I'm calling them out to someone. So I don't know. I'm not perfect. Believe me, but none of us are. But yeah, we're all on the same team here.
And I have no training in a lot of this, and I just, Kim, give us some best practice ideas for social media. Give us a few good tips, because we lean on people like you to help us on. Are we tweeting too much? Are we not tweeting enough? And I say tweeting, this is across all the platforms, all the social platforms. Have we gone too far into this? Do we need to retreat back and keep it on our websites and on our apps? Where do you think we stand with this stuff? Because I honestly don't know. I think about it a lot, because I sure spend a lot of time over there.
Well, I appreciate you extending my expertise into this domain. I think we might need a therapist to really fully address the question. Someone who's licensed and trained, but being as we have us four, I'll just suggest. I mean, I think Rick, what you were just talking about is a great place to start. What you practice in the stepping back, and James, you two said, step back and count to 10. Just take some deep breaths. That can be a marvelous place to start. When our emotions run high is when we're likely to get ourselves into trouble, no matter what the situation is. So I know I find myself taking a lot of deep breaths lately before typing anything. And you just really have to question, even if your intentions are good. I've started to look back on the sort of sum total of the things that I post on social media and think about, what is their net effect? We've all been on social media long enough now that even if you post something with good intentions, your intention is to inform. If you, like Rick, what you were talking about, if you call people out, does that damage relationships? Are there people who are left hurting and what can you do about that? It's good not to be fatalistic about where things are. Try to improve the situation. The tone that you bring, is it something that generates defensiveness in some groups of people? Do you intend to reach some people who you've probably left now disengaged because of the way you approach something? I think we've all been in this sphere long enough that it's a good opportunity to have this honest evaluation, not just of these individual tweets and taking a deep breath in the moment, but try to come to some sort of philosophy of what it is that you want to bring, the presence you want to bring in social media as a whole. What do you want your brand to be? What do you want, for lack of a better word? I think we all sort of now carry a brand. What do you want your effect to be? And what have you noticed that your effects are? What do you think the effects have been of your practices? I think it's good for us as a weather community to be thinking about that now, but it's also good for us all as individuals, because this is something that's pressing and important in society as a whole. And I think we can see the hallmark of social media in a lot of the challenges that our country and our world is facing. So what you've asked isn't a trivial question. I wish I was a licensed therapist, but all I can offer, these are the things, at least, that I've been kicking these things around a great deal, especially over the last couple of years. So great topic, and certainly something for everyone to think about.
No, that's just great advice. And the other thing I see too, I see a lot of weather people, and again, look, I'm a big First Amendment guy, free speech, baby. I'm all in. No matter how offensive, we should be able to say whatever we want to say. But I do note more and more, it seems like weather people, when the weather's quiet, instead of tweeting about weather, they get into politics in the political fight. And I don't know, and again, that's great, I guess. But I know that people, I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that people follow me across these platforms for weather information. And they don't follow me for advice on who to vote for or how to think or all these, socioeconomic things that are happening or political worldviews. So I don't go down that path. And Rick, I've never seen you do politics on your personal account.
Gosh, I sure try not to. It's hard. It's hard not to sometimes. And I even have to think about what I'm liking. If you like something on Twitter, it's like, okay, somebody going to see that and then mad at me because I like that. So it's my personal account, but it's not. It's kind of like Kim said, it's a brand. So you do have to think about that. I stay out of it, and really, I usually limit it to weather. My kids are always trying to push me. My daughters especially, they want me to tweet more about non-weather stuff. Like, come on, Dad, tweet about that episode of Kimmy Schmidt you watched, or whatever, and occasionally I'll do that, but I don't know. I certainly am not going to get into serious non-weather topics like politics, though. I'll talk about a TV show or a movie I saw, but no, I'm staying as far away from that as possible. That's just
Rick, I noticed that some government employees were critical of the president, at different times. Have they backed off on that? I don't see much of that anymore. Was there any edicts from on high that said, hey, not a good idea? What?
I mean, not really directed at personal accounts. I mean, there's always, there's very specific rules and laws, the Hatch Act and things like that. You can't campaign while you're at work or as a professional as part of your job or anything like that. But I mean, I still see it. There's people I see more so on Facebook than Twitter, but I see it on Twitter too. Whoever's got the NWS Podunk account, it kind of has free reign and they can say whatever they want to. Kind of jealous of that, but
wait. Now who runs that account? Somebody on this show knows who runs that account. I don't. I would love to know because they're funny.
Love to know. I honestly have no idea. There's people in the building who I thought it was, but I don't think it is now. Patrick Marsh was a primary candidate for a while, but I don't think it's him.
Kim, you know who it is. Kim, spill the beans. Go.
I can't say that I do. Can't say that I do.
So you
Bill
can't
Murray?
say that you do, or you don't know. You stayed in Washington too long.
Bill Murray, it's not you, is it?
No, promise it's not me.
I wish I could be that funny.
Or that clever.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, I think I know that all of us on the show pretty well here. We're not that clever. We're not that funny. I mean, but they are clearly an insider.
Oh, yeah.
And I, if I had to guess, they work in that same building where you two work out there, but we'll probably never find out. It's got to be somebody in that building.
It was one of my. That's what I've been thinking all along, but I honestly have no idea. So, and I haven't talked to anybody who seems to know. So.
If you're listening to the show, and if you're the guy or the lady that runs the NWS Podunk Twitter feed, we want you on the show. We will black you out and we will distort your voice.
Funny.
Put in with the lighting so you can only see a silhouette.
Yeah, it'll be a silhouette. You won't be able to see your face, and we'll just totally distort the audio. You know, it sounded like that. But I would love to get that. I would love to get that person on the show, but I do think we don't laugh enough in this business.
No question.
And that's why I love these conferences. In that, when I get a chance to go to an NWA, especially the NWA, that deal, Bill, that y'all throw, that party, that's a good one. You laugh and you tell stories, and it's very therapeutic because people don't understand the pressure that we're under. And Rick, you've talked about mental health issues of those that work in this profession, and the stress is extreme, and you can crumble. You can literally crumble underneath the weight of the pressure that you have, whether you're private sector, NOAA, whatever. Or maybe you've been through one of these horrific tornado outbreaks or a hurricane or something where all these people die on your watch. And sometimes we just need to laugh. And I think these things are just very therapeutic for me, where we can laugh and then share our frustrations. And even locally, when we've gotten together and just talked, we had no agenda, but just to sit down and talk. It's been very good. So I think we need to do more of that. So,
absolutely. Talking is seriously underrated as far as being therapeutic. And, after our tornadoes in May 2013, we had some counselors come in to they didn't really talk to us a lot, but they got us talking to each other, and that's kind of continued. And, whether you're talking in the office on a midnight shift or whether you're talking at a conference, or the coolest things you see on social media are when you have these conversations among professionals, and they're, in a nice way, they're trading war stories or they're comparing notes for, well, you got a person that calls you, I have that same person that calls me here on the other side of the country. So that's the good stuff about social media, is being able to connect with people. And, I can go home and talk to my wife about it, but it's not the same as talking to another person that's doing that job. So when social media can do things like that, it's awesome.
And I think for us too, in our business, Rick, the biggest issue we have are consultants. You guys don't have any consultants at NOAA, do you?
Yeah, you do.
Not that I know of.
Well, you had Kinsey or whoever, Rick?
Public affairs, sort of.
That's a little bit, Kelly and the other public affairs people are they want to make you look good and keep you out of trouble and things like that. So that's an extremely important job. I'm thankful for those people, but no, we don't have people telling us what color shirts to wear to work, or, well, Kelly tells me to wear blue shirts if I'm going to do it. Anyway, no, we don't really have consultants.
It's and I am the most blessed TV weather guy in America, because they pretty much leave me alone, and I am so thankful for that. But in so many cases, our people, they're micromanaged about the clothes they wear, the colors of the maps, and we joke a lot about the tracking thing. I mean, this thing,
Now, WeatherBrains is tracking the tracker. We track what the consultants track, so you can track along with us. Does that make sense? Here's WeatherBrains lead tracker, Kevin Selly.
But you have consultants that mandate that you say the word tracking every other sentence. And this is the new thing in television. And Kim, I want to ask you about this deal. most TV owners now are mandating that you declare a weather alert day, a red alert day, a weather emergency day, the day before. And this is not just when you have a tornado threat. This is when it might be foggy, or when it might rain, or when there might be some thunder and lightning. Everything is a code red day. I don't even know if you guys have noticed this trend, but to me, we don't do it here. And listen, they want us to, but again, they've kind of leave me alone. But I don't know, Kim, is there merit in that? If you call a code red day when it's foggy?
What exactly are they telling you to do? If there's going to be some sort of extreme of any hazard.
Well, it's not even extreme. It's if it's raining or if it's foggy, or what they'll do. I'm declaring a weather alert day tomorrow. Or they might do it 2 days in advance. I'm declaring a weather alert day on Wednesday or Thursday. And all the graphics in the station website change. The graphics in the social media things change to weather alert day Thursday, weather alert day Thursday. And these are not extreme events. These are fairly routine weather events. But I know exactly what they're doing. That they're trying to get people to watch, obviously. And still there's some merit in the idea that people watch television to get enhanced weather information. And again, we know we've lost the daily stuff to the phone here. People are going to check their phone to see what the weather's going to do, but they will come to us when there's active weather. And this is a declaration of active weather, and you need to watch us. And I guess it works because everybody's doing it. I mean, and then you get markets where different owners are trying to one up each other. So, the other station's declared a code red day. I'm going to declare it a code purple day, or it's going to be a double secret probation day, and they're all trying to one up each other. And with all this noise, people aren't going to listen to us when we have a real problem. But this is a big issue to me, and it's at some point, I do work for the man. I don't own this place, and they might come to me tomorrow and say, "You're going to have to do this," and that day will not be a happy day.
No, that would not be a happy day. Can only imagine. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be surprised by my perspective on that, but we've had sort of related conversations to this in the test bed, talking about the probabilistic information that we're testing and whether it's calibrated. So, by calibrated, we mean when we say 90%, is there something that happens 90% of the time? Is it something that's true to form? Are we effectively being honest? And we know that from the literature that does exist from psychology and communication, if you want to communicate probabilities, we assume like they do well for people if they're well calibrated. So if the forecasts are true to form, and you can think about the same thing with what you're talking about. Are you being true to form? Are you highlighting days that are important, where there could be an impact, or are you giving sort of a high bias days where there isn't expected to be very much, but you're just trying to draw their attention? It would have an unsurprising negative effect to do that repeatedly, especially if it sounds like you have to do it almost randomly. That's a challenging little policy to hear about.
Yeah, and again, I'm screen sharing, and I'm not picking on anybody. Here we are just talking about picking on people. I'm not. Trust me, these weather folks have nothing to do with this. In fact, this is my company. But this is a station in Austin introducing KI Weather Alert Days. Protecting you and your family is our main priority at KITV. Our storm tracker weather team wants to give you as much advance notice of possible dangerous and extreme weather. That's why we've created KI Weather Alert Days. What is a weather alert day? It's declared when any of these hazards are possible. Strong to severe storms, not necessarily severe, but strong. Heavy rain, flooding, hail, tornadoes, ice or snow, extreme cold, extreme heat, high fire danger. And then there's a catch-all category, other dangerous weather that could affect your safety, which fog comes under that. In short, if threatening weather is possible, KI will declare a weather alert day.
Wow.
And we will notify.
Wow.
going to say, we'll notify you on air, online, and on social media. A weather alert banner will be on the website. A weather alert box will highlight the days on the 7-day forecast. We'll have a special weather alert graphic. We'll be pushing alerts via their app. It says prepare now. And it goes on through here. And again, I could just go on and on and on. I mean, most stations in the country do this. This is WCPO in Cincinnati. First warning weather day. They issue one. If your safety is in question, there's a chance of severe weather if weather is expected to reach extreme levels in terms of heat, rain, wind, cold, or snow. But I have seen it for fog many times, and just thunder and lightning, where it's not really severe. So that's the consultant thing, where the weather people get in a closed room and we just gripe about this stuff. It's to me, that's not healthy. And what do you do when you've got a big weather day? Nobody's going to listen. You've just dulled their senses. They're just beat down with this stuff. So,
yeah, we have two stations in our area that are owned by the same company that do first alert weather days. And, this is another thing on Twitter. People beat up on a TV meteorologist will post, we're declaring a first alert weather day, and then people on Twitter attack them. They probably don't want to do it. They're somebody told them to do that. They're not personally declaring because they feel it in their heart a first alert weather day. I mean, they got a boss. So I feel the same way Kim does about it. I mean, if it was truly calibrated and when you saw a first alert weather day or whatever it's called, you knew that meant business, then that's one thing, but I don't know. Again, I'm not being critical of anybody either. It's a thing right now to do, and it'll be something different down the road sometime.
Really interesting.
Again, it's the kind of thing where we just can't come together on something like that. We can never come together. Never. If all the TV stations in the market went in and decided to do it on the same day, I think there might be some merit to that if there was a real weather, life-threatening weather or something really dangerous. But that's the problem. One station says this, one station says this. One guy's got a weather emergency day, one guy's got a code red day, one guy's got nothing. So who do you believe? And I'm afraid I'm a dying breed. Guys like me that don't like this stuff, we're just dying off and going away. And not that I'm going away anytime soon, but that'll take me out of here kicking and screaming. But it's going to be all hype all the time. And it's just I don't know.
Do you know if for the stations where that's encouraged or it's policy, do they have quotas? Like, sort of like once a month you need to do something like this. Is that part of the pressure?
I will say this. I don't think they have quotas, but I do think magically during the months of November, May, February, and July, you have a whole lot of first alert days. And if the ratings are close, there's a whole lot of those days. And apparently they can skew the numbers where people are not going to, they don't want to hear me. Look, there's a chance of rain tomorrow, some light rain at times, no big deal. You might hear some thunder. There's no chance of any severe weather. The high will be about 75. Rain amounts ought to be under 1 inch. We don't expect any flooding. But if some other station says, it's a code red day, we're going to have rain that will be hampering your visibility and affecting your travel in a major way. Tune in tonight at 10 to find out more. They're going to watch that. They're not going to watch me. And I think that's the issue. And again, I'm not saying that happens here. It happens everywhere where people are doing this, but I just don't like the way that's headed. So at least Rick and Kim, you guys don't have to deal with that type of pressure over on your side of the stick. So Bill, the blog doesn't do a code red day, does it?
No, but I'm taking good notes here because it sounds like a good idea.
And of course, what you do next, you go sell it to a sponsor. This is the Buford Furniture, the Buford Furniture Code Red Day.
It's amazing to me, James, that our page views are up so radically. Because they just keep stepping up and up and up as we have weather, because we try not to hype things and we try to give honest assessments of what's happening. And I think that resonates with people, so.
Yeah. And again, we're still in this age here where if people want to know what the weather's going to do, they're going to look at this stock app on their phone, which is okay. It's okay for days like today when it's nice and quiet, but they're going to pull this up. But the truth is, this doesn't tell you anything about uncertainty, timing, severity. It doesn't tell you anything. And I think people do want to seek out better information, which is our opportunity. And in the television business, we have to reinvent what we're doing because people know what the weather is going to do unless you're, 90 years old or something. And even 90-year-olds can work these phones. But it affects all of us here. It affects everybody. It affects the National Weather Service. Rick, and people ask me, I'm traveling to Oklahoma City. Who do I follow? Because they want to get additional information. And I typically just send it because I have so many friends in television. Goodness, I don't want to hurt. I just say, go follow Rick Smith because nobody's going to get mad if I say follow you. But don't you think, Rick, people are finally wanting to seek a little more information past the standard stuff they get on the phone?
It seems like it. I mean, that's the people we're hearing from that interact with us on social media. They may even be watching television or getting, a basic forecast, but they want more details. Of course, you have all the what abouts, what about me? What about my street? What about my town? And that's going to happen because people, they want to know, they want to personalize it as much as they possibly can down to as small a scale as they possibly can. But yeah, I see it. I mean, I think people, it's not enough. And even the good work the Storm Prediction Center does, if we just show a map once a day that says, here's the severe weather risk until tomorrow when we talk to you again, that's not enough. People want to know, well, what time is it going to happen? How long is it going to last? How bad is it going to be? There's lots of questions and I think there is more of that. And I think social media has given people more avenues to do that. You don't have to look up the number for the Weather Service office and call and talk to somebody. You can just ask a question or watch conversations going on social media and get answers to some of your questions. So yeah, I think it's happening more. We don't know how much it's not happening. We don't know how many people are not asking those questions. I think there's still a bunch of those people out there.
So let me change directions here. I want to ask Kim a selfish personal question. So Kim, this is about weather communication. We are shifting where we are into the Death Ridge. We are now in the air mass thunderstorm season.
Yeah.
Bill Murray knows what I'm talking about here. So every day between now and August, most days, it will be hot and humid. The sun's out at times, and we have random air mass thunderstorms. So every day, the Weather Service issues a forecast that says partly cloudy, scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Probability of precipitation is 30%. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. We have no idea where it's going to be raining at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
To me, these forecasts help nobody. I've got a wedding outdoors at 6 o'clock. Is it going to rain on that wedding? I don't know. How can we better, or can we better communicate weather on summer days down here with random air mass storms with little skill in forecasting timing and placement? What do we do?
Man, you have just asked one of the toughest questions. Glad we're not getting any softballs tonight. I mean, I think that you're right in that those are the more frustrating forecasts. We've had some emergency managers from the Southeast come into our test bed this year, and they were great. They brought up that exact same thing as being one of the biggest banes of their existence. The summertime convection air mass thunderstorm, and that they just feel like they're completely reactive. They have no ability to be proactive, and they see the forecast. They know what it means, and especially for emergency managers who have to look over ballparks or universities, these point locations where there were going to be a lot of people. Anything that would help them to be proactive would be so welcomed. I mean, really, this isn't a social science question. This is a modeling question. As I understand it, the technologies that are being developed now, the probabilistic information we can give that we're beta testing now in the test bed, it gives some probabilities of storms affecting an area maybe an hour or so downstream, but you have to have convection that's there first for the system to actually generate the probabilities to begin with. So if there's nothing on radar, then you're SOL. You're not going to get anything.
Yep.
So, but there are other technologies, there are other modeling techniques available that are trying to capture convection scale features before you would have a storm. So this is sort of the Warn-On forecast system that is being developed at the lab as an example of this. They've had mixed success, especially in these challenging regimes. When there is a really strong signal, sometimes the model can really pin where that storm is going to be. When the signal gets weaker, I think you get the biases in placement that are very common at minimum, if not in number of storms and everything else. And if you're talking about summertime convection, you're really just talking about something small, and that small displacement would render that whole forecast useless. So, this is, of course, my social science eyes looking on the modeling community and their work. But from what I have gleaned, that problem, what you're talking about, doesn't have a ready solution. And I think the best thing we can do at this stage in the game is to tell everybody you have to keep your eyes on the sky. I mean, you have to have, if you have a public safety interest or a personal safety interest, you need to get an app or have a friend who has an app that has lightning data. Stay aware of this stuff, because right now there just really is no substitute. And I'd love to hear from forecaster Rick, or you too, James, if you guys think of anything more brilliant that's coming.
Rick, you spent some time in Memphis. You dealt with air mass storms on a summer afternoon. How do you handle that? Somebody calls you up at 7:00. I've got a ball game. Going to be 5,000 people out there at 3:00. It's going to rain. How do you handle that?
That's a good question, and there is no easy way to handle it. This is where, well, even at home, this is where I get questions like this. Even here, was it going to rain? They want a yes or no answer. Well, we don't know, and especially this kind of thing where it's not. If Oswell was on here, he would tell us it's not completely random where these things pop up. They're popping up where they're popping up for a reason, but we don't know what those reasons are, or we can't forecast those reasons in advance. It can literally just rain just about anywhere during the summer months, and where you are and where I grew up in the Memphis area. So there is no good way to do it. Do people understand what a 30% chance means? I think it's what Kim said. If I'm giving personal advice to somebody, I'm going to say, look, there could be a thunderstorm anywhere. Maybe try to narrow down some times for them. They'd be most likely from 4 to 7 o'clock. But literally anybody could get one. So if the skies get dark, or you start hearing thunder or seeing lightning, guess what? You're getting a storm, or there's going to be one nearby. That's the best we can do, I think. And we've worked with some of those experimental models, the New-Z. We've had really good success with some of that, but those are big synoptic systems with supercells, and it is ingesting current radar data. And so, like you said, it works a lot better when you actually have something on radar. So those are not unless I'm sure there's other things in the works. I don't know everything that's going on, but what I've seen, those are not made for what James is talking about.
Yeah.
And I think too, we're guilty maybe of not telling people we don't know. We feel like we have to give some kind of answer. And sometimes and in my old age, I'm very honest. I'm blunt. If there's something I don't know, I feel very free to say, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff nobody knows in this business. And the other problem, these things bring these wet microbursts, and they can knock down trees and power lines when these things collapse or at certain points of their life cycle. And, they can be an issue. And oftentimes you can't warn for these things. I mean, if you issue a warning for every afternoon storm, it'll be all warnings all the time.
Yeah.
So,
hey, James, can I ask you a question?
Go.
You talked about consultants earlier, but I'm guessing and talking to people, it sounds like, I'm guessing it doesn't look good for a TV meteorologist to get on the air and say you don't know. Don't you have to convey some confidence to, people are going to go watch the guy over here who's confident what's going to happen, even if they're not, versus, I mean, I agree with you. If we don't know, we don't know. But do you know what I'm saying? I mean, is there pressure?
No, there is intense pressure to give an answer to everything in that studio next door, where they don't like you saying that. But occasionally I'll say it. And look, we've had, you look back over these horrible forecast busts over the years, sometimes you have to just say, we don't know. It's going to take months, if not years, of research to find out what went wrong here and what we can do to prevent this from happening again. But no, they don't like for you to say that. That is a bad consultant thing. You want to be because what's our catchphrase? Anybody know? The weather authority. See, every market has a first alert storm team.
Yeah.
Every market has the weather authority. Every market has all these, live, local, late breaking, all this stuff. I don't even know what our news phrase is here, but I know our weather phrase is the weather authority. So if you get on television and say, I don't know, then you're not a weather authority. So, but to me, by saying there's limits in what we can do, that is being the weather authority, and that you're being honest. And I try and be perfectly blunt.
Right. I mean, something you just said, though, maybe there's a way to frame what you have and, make some value out of a challenging situation. So, you talk about this being a 30% chance on a given day of there being rain. We know that the public really struggles to understand what we mean when we say that. They make all kinds of inferences, and really what we're not making clear that the scattered nature, for example, of the rainfall, people won't know the difference between if it's going to be a line or it'll be these little, bubble up storms. And I don't know, maybe there's a way to provide additional context. I know you get on TV and you say this is going to be a typical summer day with storms all over the place, but maybe helpful illustrations too could be useful. I know one of the things that I often tell people when they ask about summertime storms and where they come from, I compare it to just a pot of boiling water. And I say, look for where the bubbles come up. Where would you have predicted the bubbles would come up? Can you do that? That's very similar to what the atmosphere is doing, essentially. And for us, you're asking us to predict every little bubble. And after that, when they ripple, there might be other bubbles that come up in other places. I mean, then things start to get complicated. Just look at a pot of boiling water and think about that being the atmosphere, and maybe just give people something that gives them a bigger perspective, because people tend to be so point focused. If they think about things in a regional sense, and think about it with respect to something that they're really familiar with, that can look down like that and see, then maybe that can be helpful. Illustrations can help change the mental model and help people so much.
That's awesome. Those are great ideas. All right, goodness, I'm thinking we just started talking here, and it's already we're like an hour into this thing. We've got to stop now. What's odd,
James? I think you should play the "This Is Alabama" game with Kim and Rick about Alabama town names. That is hilarious. You did you see that, Kim?
No.
James, I think you should ask them some of those. Are these real or fake towns? Do it, James.
Well, we got to go. We'll do that next week. They let that video go today, which is pretty funny.
It is hilarious.
It's on my Twitter feed. And listen, we got a lot of folks out. Aubrey is on vacation. Brian he's working the pole position tomorrow morning doing the elections, so he had to get up before noon. So he's out tonight. Nate is probably in some corporate boardroom somewhere, wherever NBC is. And Kevin, we never know where the accelerant is. But Tony Rice, I think, is on vacation this week. We actually don't have an astronomy report. And because Brian's out, we don't have a Professor Peters. So let's just go right to the weather roundup here. So this is where I typically play this little song here.
When the weather ball is red, warmer weather is ahead. When the weather ball is white, colder weather is in sight. When the weather ball is green, no change in the weather is foreseen. When colors blink, by night or day, precipitation's on the way.
Okay, Bill Murray, tell us what's happening in Birmingham, Alabama.
a 55-degree dew point today when the atmosphere mixed out, and it was just wonderful with a cobalt blue sky and beautiful. We've been running a little bit above normal for the month. We were almost 5 degrees above normal through yesterday. I guess that'll change a little bit, but we won't have any rain around here till the weekend. And James, what do you think about another tropical system in about 10 days? Think that might happen?
Oh, I don't know. See, there you go. I don't know. That's my favorite 3 words. I don't
know. The weather
know.
authorities. That's what we are.
The weather authority says, I don't know.
I like what you say normally in the mornings, James. You'll say, it's not going to rain everywhere. It's going to rain in spots, or it won't rain all day, or it won't,
Yeah, no, look, between 2 and 10 o'clock, there's going to be a few storms out there. Not everybody's going to get wet. Where the storms do pop up, they could be heavy. Heavy rain, thunder, lightning, gusty winds. The chance of any one spot getting wet's about 1 in 3. Yeah, that's about all you can do. And on the tropics, I don't know. I've seen the little mischief, but that these global models are famous for mischief that never pan out. So I'll believe it when I see it.
It's not a thing till it's a thing.
So, Kim, y'all got a 55-degree dew point out there?
Should ask the weather service forecaster how that's going. All I know is that it was a blessedly cool day with the cloud cover that we had persistent through most of the day, and that was definitely welcome. I would love to have the same, if we could get some residual cloud cover tomorrow after this stuff comes through. But yeah, that's the actually extent of my knowledge. Rick,
I think we did have a 55 dew point yesterday or the day before. We had a quote cold front come through and the north winds, and it was the noticeable thing was the drier air. I mean, there were 78-degree dew points in and around central Oklahoma just a couple of days ago, and just to have that. Just dew points in the 60s is like, I can breathe again.
Right.
So yeah, but it's creeping back up. The dew points have come back up another 5 to 10 degrees since this time yesterday. So, and just looking at radar here at the date and time we're recording this, there's a few little showers and storms popping up along, Kim, the I-35 corridor. And we all know what that is. So yeah, we're hoping for all the rain we can get because it feels like summer already.
Yeah, it does. And actually,
sorry,
go ahead.
I was going to say, it looks like the Southwest is baking too. What was Phoenix high today? 110 something. It's never good to see those guys at 110 in early June because you don't even want to know what it's going to be like in July or August. So it is brutal out there. All right, so let's do our picks of the week here. And then I'm hosting tonight. I got to go do television. So this is where we share something that is weather related. This can be a website, hardware, software, anything related. My pick, it is the output from the Advanced Hydrologic Prediction Service. I've not really looked at this site in a long time, but I was looking at some of the data today, and it's basically a look at observed precipitation, graphical forecast, all about water, hydrology stuff. And the link that's going to be up on the website, weatherbrains.com. All right, Kim, what's your pick for us this week?
My pick is a link to an article from the Capital Weather Gang where they talk about a new app that's connecting hurricane evacuees with people willing to host. They're calling it the Uber for disasters. It's called Harmony. And it's this really neat concept where they've keyed it on the disaster research that shows that a lot of folks who don't evacuate, it's because they may not have a car. They may also not have a place to go. Those are two really big issues. Or they may not have a place to go that accepts pets. So they know that there are a lot of, sort of good-natured people out there who want to help these folks and just don't have a means of connecting to them. So they created an app. If you want to, volunteer to drive up with other people, if you have room in your car to bring some people out of, say, Florida when you're evacuating, or if you want to share a hotel room, or if you have a house to go to, have friends, places where people can crash, you can offer that to those who are in need. So it's a really interesting idea. Yeah, really neat.
That's awesome. And again, all these links will be up on the website, weatherbrains.com. Rick, what's your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is an article from our friend Bob Henson with Weather Underground, who talked to Tom Grzoulis. I know one of our wish list, the top of the wish list for guests. Well, Tom has emerged recently on Twitter, and he's getting ready to publish another volume of the Significant Tornadoes book, the Big Green Book. That to a lot of people, if you looked at it as much as I did, it's in multiple pieces because it came apart, wore it out. But he's gonna this update is going to extend. The other edition cut off in 1991, and there was a supplement that went a little bit longer. But this new edition is going to go all the way through the 2019 calendar year, and it will be a kind of a census, a list of every known U.S. tornado, at least EF2 or greater. And if you've never looked at that book, it's there's your summer right there. You can get lost in that if you're into tornadoes at all. It's like the Bible of tornadoes. But anyway, Tom is working on a new version of that, an update to that, and it's not going to be out for a while, but you can start saving your pennies and your quarters and your nickels. It comes out it's going to be a couple of years before it comes out. And I'm trying to find the price tag here. But anyway, save your pennies and nickels and quarters and dollars. It'll be worth it.
Awesome. All right, Bill Murray, what you got?
Mine's held together with green duct tape. It absolutely split down the middle.
I've seen the green duct tape used a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking the foghorn, James, on the pig. Because I like the sound of that. And next,
I'll blow it again.
There you go, double foghorn. Next week, Peter Geiger, the editor of the Farmer's Almanac, will be here. Maybe he can shed some light on how to forecast weather. June the 18th, Phil Klotzbach will join us. The 25th, Kim's got the show, Ben May and Joe Takersley. Tell us about that show, Kim.
Oh, it's going to be so great. We have, these are two folks who actually come to us outside of the field of meteorology proper. Both were interested in the field. One guy, it was his childhood passion, but he actually went on to work at a winery, a very well-known winery, became a senior executive before going to Disney, where they asked him to put together a weather safety demonstration, a sort of exhibit, an interactive exhibit. This thing, he then teamed up with our second guest, and they put together something that's been shown. There's been research that's shown that just tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people's lives have been changed by this exhibit. They are thrilling people to talk to, and I'm so excited to have them on the show.
Yeah, thank you for setting that up, Kim. That's going to be great. We're going to talk to David Peterson about pyrocumulonimbus the week after that. And a bunch of these shows are going to change, James, because of your vacation. I've got to get in there and move them around a little bit. But I'm really excited about all of the and we've got a meteorologist August 13th from the Turkish State Meteorological Service. But I'm not certain yet, based on my conversations with him on LinkedIn, that he speaks English. So that one may be a rough one.
Might be a little problem there. Yes. Yeah, for logistical purposes, I will not be here on the 18th of June. That's a vacation week. So we'll do that show maybe the week before sometime. And then I think in August, it is or maybe July 30th. That's it. Yeah, July 30th. And then I'm here until Christmas. So there we go. But awesome. So listen, I've got to go.
No problem.
We got to go do a little television here. So listen, thank you so much for watching. WeatherBrains is typically done Monday nights at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. Most people watch on live.bigbrainsmedia.com, but we know most of you listen to the audio podcast version. So thanks a lot for that. If you want to send us an email, and by the way, we'll do a double email segment next week with Aubrey. The email address, it is email@weatherbrains.com. Our social media accounts are on the site, the show notes, and much more. If you listen by iTunes, we love those iTunes comments as well. Love us, hate us, just let us know what you think. So on behalf of the entire WeatherBrains crew, I'm James Spann. Thanks for listening. Have a great week, and God bless.
Thank you, everybody.
We survived.
That went fast.
We got to get Rich on there. I would love to get him on the show, though. We'll figure out a way to
pick any date he wanted in the fall after he gets all calmed down from his
after his wedding. All right, guys. Thank you all. You'll have a great week. Bye.